Welcome to Chat With Me on the Side. Today we have with us the beautiful, the intelligent, the wonderful Miss Penelope Barrett.
Thank you.
Penelope was on our Black Professional Women episode, and on that episode you told us that you are an attorney.
Yes.
Yay! Can you share with us a little bit about how that experience has been for you being a woman of color?
Being an attorney and a woman of color, it's interesting.
I think it's about to get real up here.
I know my job. I do it very well. You know that about me.
Absolutely. You do everything she does. We're going to start with that, but go ahead.
But I really enjoy being an attorney, but sometimes it can be hard. It can be hard. As I previously brought up before, when you are an attorney and you're a person of color, sometimes your status as a person of color causes into question your ability to be a good attorney.
How? I mean, I understand that happens in the world. I don't want to seem so naive, but it's shocking to me that it's still happening. Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So can you give us like an example of how that's affected you, or have you seen it in the world?
Yes. So this just popped up in my Facebook feed yesterday, and it's a story. This actually happened, and I would like to say that sometimes this has happened to me. So that's why
Let me sit down. Okay, I'm bracing myself for this because I know it's
it's not great, but it is the world that I live in. So this was I'm not going to say young or old. This was a male who's Black, and he practices in Maryland, and he was stopped after arguing a motion in front of the court. So he had already been before a judge as an attorney on behalf of his client, and he was stopped from leaving the courthouse by a deputy who had witnessed the entire exchange, who believed he was impersonating a lawyer.
Okay. You saw this attorney in action,
Yes.
in a courtroom.
Yes.
As the attorney is leaving,
Yes.
he stops him and
Yes.
accuses him of impersonating an attorney simply because he's a Black male.
Yes.
This was in 1958?
No, this was yesterday. this week. I'm not going to say it was yesterday. It was this week.
This week.
And
Unreal. And how did he respond? Like, did it say like what transpired afterwards?
Yeah. He was detained for about 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
While he had to call his supervisor, who then had to legitimize his status as an attorney.
This has to stop. It has to stop. And I remember a story you told me once, and I hope you don't mind me sharing.
No, it's fine.
But I really just sat there like, this can't still be happening. Like, it should have never happened, obviously, to begin with. But the fact that it's 2019 and it's still happening. So Penelope shared with me that she walked into a courtroom one day, dressed as she always is to the nine, and she's gorgeous and businesslike, and you had your hair pulled back, and she walked up to where the attorney stands, and the judge looked at her and said, "Where's the attorney?" What? How do you not know, like, I'm right here? You know, I mean, you have to be cordial. This is the judge in your courtroom that you're working, you know, you have them on your side, but yet, how do we combat this when you can't be combative? Because no matter what you say, as a woman of color, you could be misconstrued as combative, right?
That's the problem. So,
and you have to be.
And I have
You're
to
an attorney.
be.
You're going to fight for your clients. So
Exactly.
what does that look like for you?
You have to be the very best. So there's tons of case law that's literally just sitting in my head at all times.
All the time, ready to just pull that stuff out.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I argue forcefully, but not ridiculously. So in that way, I mean, there's been times where I've had an attorney on the other side and we're arguing, and because they're male, they think they can talk louder than I can. And they don't know that I was a teacher. So, so they can play that game, they're going to lose.
They're going to lose.
So, and I don't have to become shrill with that
Okay.
voice. So being that experienced as
Yes.
a teacher, you know how to command a room without getting into those upper notes that someone can get into. So I can talk more forcefully and more loudly and actually drop my voice at the same time and eventually drown them out or make it apparent to the court that that's
that you are knowledgeable and that you are, you know what you're doing.
Oh, and I know that that's the tactic that they're using, you know, because, you know, if you don't know that tactic, you know, oh, judge, you know, I know exactly what I'm talking about as you're in the middle of your argument. I just interject with a few, well, Your Honor, if I can finish my argument, that would be great. You know, or, you
and
know,
how does that go over? I mean,
the judge notes it, and maybe they'll allow me to finish my argument and stop the other attorney, or maybe, you know, they won't. But if I bring it up a couple of times, that's usually when the judge says, okay. Let her say her piece.
Yes. Good,
you know, but that's something I had to learn. You know?
Yes.
And there's a lot of what one of my judges, my favorite judges, Judge Hobson, would say, there's a lot of baby attorneys out there. And they don't know that.
They need to grow up,
They
right?
don't.
And so I want to come back to something you said just real briefly there, that you have to be good and you have to know what you're doing. So I feel like almost you have to be better than the average attorney.
Yeah.
Just to make it known that you are good.
Unfortunately, yes. And that's fine. Like, well, it's fine for me
Because you are.
Because I am, and that's what I have grown up to be. That was always the standard in our house, is you are the best.
At whatever
And
you
whatever you do,
Wow.
you know, if someone brings in a volcano, you bring a volcano and you make sure that it burns down a town. This is the level of best you have to be. You have to be this extra level. And it was because they expected me to come back with honor roll and make sure that I was at the top of the class. And, you know, the goal was always number one. I never hit number one, but the goal was always number one, you know, as close as possible. So, you know, that has always carried me through. And I think that's the experience with a lot of people of color. You know, people of color have to deal with that on a constant basis. If they have that sort of family structure, it's you have to do that extra 10% no matter what, because it's assumed that you are going to fail. So if, you know, doing well just isn't good enough.
Right.
You have to take it, I did well. No, I did superb.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did this so well that you can't help but to give me an A. So.
And it's great to push your kids to do their best, but it's unfortunate that it has to be just so that you can prove that you're average almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's we all have a responsibility, no matter what our color is, to end that cycle. I think it's great, like I said, to raise your kids up and make them be, you know, push them toward their best. But it should be because you want to show your best, not because you have to prove you're better than anybody else. That's true. But you know what, baby? You are number one in my world. So thank you so much for being here. I loved having you. Thank you guys for joining us. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget to take care of each other.